beginning to look a lot that way. It's a Banjar Day, a cold and snowy day, and all I want to do is sit around and play. 'Cause it's a Banjar Day. Well, hello everybody. Jay here. It's a cold and snowy day here. It's a Banjar Day here in the Denver metro area of Colorado. We got a couple inches of snow falling on the ground. It's probably about, I don't know, 18 degrees out, 20 at best. Really chilly out there. Good day for chili con carne, or maybe some beef stew or something like that. Anyway, we'll have to get the old crock pot out and cook up something warm. But, you know, I am a native Adirondacker from upstate New York, in the cold Adirondack, frigid cold Adirondack Mountains in the wintertime. The word Adirondack means tree eater or bark eater because the Native Americans that lived up there in the wintertime, there was very little food, and sometimes they did you find bark a form of sustenance somehow. As an Adirondacker, when we were kids, grew up in a little village called Saranac Lake, New York, but in the Adirondacks there's a lot of little villages and a lot of trees and a lot of woods. And I spent a lot of my formative years, 10, 11, 12 years old, 13 years old, every day in the woods. It doesn't matter what kind of weather, we were up there. We did a lot of tobogganing and sliding, and but sometimes you had to drag your sled all the way through a trail in the woods to get to the other side where there was a big hill, and slide down there. At the end of every block, just about every neighborhood, there was within walking distance wilderness woods. I mean, a lot of heavy traffic paths in there because so many kids played in the woods and so many people walked those trails and paths with their dogs and take them for a nice walk. The dogs love it. There's so many smells and stuff in the woods. And there's something about when I go back to visit and I walk in those woods, the smell, it brings back a flood of memories for me a lot of times of my childhood. But we would spend days in there, you know, camp out overnight, make a fire, sleep right out in the open on the trail or next, you know, clearing somewhere under the stars. We would bring all sorts of canned foods from home, or we would hunt squirrels, trap. I mean, we had wrist rocket slingshots, we had BB guns, we had 22s sometimes, we had bows and arrows, we had traps, we had a trap line. We used to trap muskrat and rabbit. We used to hunt squirrels, birds, and we thought we were mighty woodsmen and mighty hunters. We'd build a little campfire and cook the little varmints right there and eat them. And I know that sounds gross to a lot of people, but you know, I learned a lot of survival skills. And it's funny because, you know, I've recently on YouTube started watching what they call bushcraft stuff, which is a lot of survival stuff. And it's kind of, it ranges from everything from people talking about survival backpacks and things like that, items, how to do it, all the way up to people like Les Stroud that do Survivor Man stuff, where they actually go into the woods with cameras and do 4 or 5 nights on big, like a lot of canoe trips up. And a lot of these people are up in Ontario in the north, which is very similar to, I think, the Adirondack Mountains in upstate New York, which is, you know, a northern type of forest, and a lot of lakes and wet areas, swamps and lakes and things like that, conducive to kayaking or canoeing. A lot of these people, these bushcraft people, like I said, they go from like a 5-day or a 2-week canoe trip throughout Ontario or somewhere in the north with a lot of portages for the canoes and, surviving every night on islands or on lakes and fishing for subsistence. And we did that naturally as kids. We would, hike in and catch fish and, clean the fish and eat the fish and, bring it home. Sometimes we brought it home for dinner because we had big families. Where I lived, the neighborhood I lived in, a little village of Cynic was called French Hill. Now, I don't know what the origins of that were, whether there was French families or somebody named with the last name French owned the land at one time. I'm not really sure what. I'll have to probably research that. And we actually formed a group of musicians in a band many years ago in the mid-90s called French Hill. It was an acoustic guitar group, and my brother was in it. A bunch of people from that town, and we were out here in Colorado, but we called the group French Hill. And by the townspeople, it was affectionately named Rabbit Hill because I don't think there was a family up there that had less than 5 or 6 kids. And they were big Catholic families all over in that neighborhood, and a lot of big families. But there was always a contemporary in the family. So I was the oldest in my family, but I might hung out with one of the middle brothers from another family that was my age, and my little brother hung out with their little brother, and or sometimes all together. We all knew each other, and we'd just walk a block away into the woods and disappear for the day. And we might carry our bow and arrow, we might bring our slingshot, might bring a rucksack or a backpack with a can of SpaghettiOs in it, or whatever. But we would go up there and we would survive the whole day in the woods, and we'd come back all dirty, smelly, sometimes with fish guts all over us or whatever. And I remember my mom looking out the window of the front door, and I'd have a muskrat by the tail in my hand or a bucket of fish or something, and she'd say, "You're going to clean that outside. You don't come in the house until you get that." She didn't want us in there. And then when we got in the house, she'd say, "You go take a bath or wash up or whatever." So it was great. I mean, what a great childhood, really. And they didn't worry about us. Our parents really didn't. First of all, they had too many kids, and a lot of them were still in diapers. So it was hard for them to keep an eye on the older ones, And it was a safe environment. It was just a different time. You didn't worry about, your kids went outside and played, Nowadays, you'd be worried about all kinds of predators and people stealing your children and who knows what. But I don't know if it's like that there now, because I've been gone from there for over 30 years. So, but I'm just saying that I watch these bushcraft shows, and they range from everything from people just showing knives that they like to use in the woods or tools, to talking about bushcraft, whether they do it or not. I don't know. Some might just be posers. Some might be doing it. And to hardcore people that are surviving. Sometimes I wonder, like, they'll have a fort already made in the woods, and we used to do that too. We used to go make like a lean-to or like a fort or whatever. And there's a lot throughout the state park system up there. They actually have state park maintained trails and lean-tos for hikers. You get a permit now. Back then you didn't have to have a permit. I don't remember having to ever make a reservation until I got to be about 17 or 18 one time. I went camping, about 18 or 19. And I had been gone for a couple of years. I went to college when I was 17 or 18. Maybe I was 20. I don't know. Anyways, I'd gone to college for a couple of years and came back and went camping one time. We were up on the edge of a lake, and a ranger came by in a boat, and he said, "You can't camp here." And I said, "I've been camping here my whole life." And he says, "Well, things have changed. Now there's laws and regulations, and you have to camp in a designated campsite. You can no longer just walk into the woods and camp." And I thought, that's crazy. These woods were my backyard for years. They were like, several miles in. However, times change. more governmental control, which I don't like, and less wild spaces, I guess. Too many people, whatever. Anyway, when I was watching these bushcraft things, and they're very interesting. I like watching them and seeing how other people do things. You know, build shelters and little tarps, things. And one of the things I've come up with for this year, 2021. I don't know if you saw my video on gramping, where I have a. If you look in my video feed, you'll find one. It's called Gramping, and I took my 2 daughters and 2 of my grandchildren. Recording.
What? I just like the marshmallow.
I just like marshmallow and chocolate.
I like the chocolate, the marshmallow, and the graham cracker.
Hey, wow! There you go. Hey, got it. I'd love to take them all camping. You have to rent, or you'd have to get two campsites for that. Unless you went into, like I say, we walk into the woods and start camping somewhere. But I think with the kids and everything, it's more enjoyable, and especially at my age too. It's a little more enjoyable to have some creature comforts, like a little picnic table or something, and a place where you can drive your truck into fairly close. You don't have to backpack miles into the woods or something. Where you're near a lake, or you can take them fishing, where they can go for day hikes and see nature, where they can run around in the woods and not worry too much about things. So, but there are a lot of paid state-run campsites, and some of them have facilities like outhouses and that kind of thing. And I think if I take my wife, or some of the kids, my older children, I think they'd like those conveniences probably. And I always have to have a cot now, because I'm getting to the age where I get down on my knees and it's kind of hard to get back up again. Anyway, so I found that out the other day with my buddy Eddie. We were both inspecting on a roof, and he went down on his knees to do some readings, and I had to help him up, and then I went down on my knees and I went to get up and almost fell flat on my face, and he had to help me up. So I guess it's just part of getting old. Things don't work the way they used to. This year is like a resolution. I wouldn't call it a resolution because I didn't come up with it at New Year's or anything, but I'm kind of slow. I think things through slowly about what I might like to do differently. I want to do some more camping this year, for sure. Get out and enjoy fishing and camping, because it's been for like a couple of years and I just haven't done a lot of it in a few years. And it was so much fun taking those kids gramping, they called it. That's camping with Grandpa. Gramping. I had a lot of fun. I just want to do it, and I want to take some trips with my wife, and my wife would like probably more like a RV type thing instead of a tent. We'll see how that pans out. With a cot, it's really pretty comfortable in a big tent, and as long as you have some facilities nearby, And let's see, so that's one thing I want to do this year. In so doing, I've been putting together types of backpacks and thinking about it, and my youngest daughter, is getting to the age where she's going to want to be getting more adventurous. She has a car, her license, and she's 18, be driving around, so I thought it'd be really important to have some kind of security stuff in the trunk of her car if she's going to go hiking in the woods or something. And so I'm putting together a backpack that if she wants to stop and take a day hike, she can open the trunk of her car, go through the backpack, she can take out anything that she thinks she isn't going to use that day, but it'll have a lot of survival and camping type items in it. And so I'm putting one of those together for her, and I'm going to have something for me where in my truck, my work truck, if I just want to take off on a day and go hike off into the woods somewhere, that I just have something available in there all the time. So just a couple of little day pack bags ready to go. And that's something I can do during the slow winter time, these cold winter days. Of course, I've been carving, and you guys saw my gnome series there that I did. And then, of course, I've been carving, a lot of crafty things you can do. I made this spork. I carved it. It's kind of a big fork section, isn't it? and spoon, spoon fork. Anyways, I whittled that out just for fun. These are my finger picks, sorry. Whittled that one out there. And then with leather, I've been messing around with leather, and I have a really nice bushcraft knife that was a gift. And I put a ferro rod in there in the holder for it. This is the Benchmade. These are really nice knives, super sharp and heavy duty. Sharp knife for bushcraft. But one of the things I did was I kind of went to the leather craft store and kind of just made my own little dangler right there, because it didn't come with a dangler. That kind of matches it, see? And put that together with some snaps on there. Goes on your belt. So that was kind of a fun little project over the last couple of weeks, thinking about those things. And of course, binoculars so you can watch wildlife, whatever you like to do. So I'm kind of thinking of spring already. Here it is, not even February yet. When I was young, I studied video production when videotape was reel to reel, back in the old days. When it was first being introduced at the Lake Placid Center for Performing Arts. That was in 1972, 73, I think, or 74, 73, 74. Somewhere in there. I spent 6 months or so going to classes over there about video production. They had a team of hippies from San Francisco that were teaching the class, which was a lot of fun, actually. We had to, by the end of the class, we had to produce a videotape with a storyline and everything. I didn't pursue it after that. So now with the advent of all this technology, it's a lot of fun. Appreciate you guys all. I'm picking up new viewers all the time. Thank you all for tuning in this week. It's a Banjar Day. That's what Jay out.